Hello, it's a great pleasure to be able to present for CIIT Peru. I apologize, I'm not there in person because of different global circumstances, but I do hope to visit sometime in person to give this presentation. Today, I will be presenting on data integrity to address challenges in material informatics. I will start with a quick overview of the presentation. After a brief introduction of myself, I work in CIS services. I will go into some recent trends and interesting developments in the realm of material informatics. And as material informatics is getting a lot of attention, there is definitely a lot of challenges in material informatics. And I will go through some of these challenges in the perspective of innovation and competitive research and development. And to address some of these main challenges, I will go into detail on data integrity, especially what is data integrity and why data integrity is very important to address these challenges in material informatics. I will then go into the next level of detail in exactly how data integrity contributes to material informatics. And of course, after we've kind of established what data integrity is and how it would help to address these challenges, I will conclude the presentation by going into some of the implementation. So how to actually implement data integrity by going through some best practices and also introducing a use case. So a quick introduction of myself. I work as a solutions engineer in CIS within the CIS services team. I'll go into CIS services a little bit more, but I've mainly been working with different organizations around the world that is trying to implement different types of data governance or data integrity type projects where they're trying to create a really robust platform into utilizing data more, especially in material informatics. So as we work with data, there's a lot of different types of data. And between these different types of data, scientific data especially comes with a lot of challenges. Scientific data could be thought of as the different types of data that we see from journals and patents that are reported. It's also data that comes from different types of manufacturing processes in different factories and manufacturing operations. It's also all the data that comes from different scientific labs where they do research. So as you can imagine, there is a large amount of data coming from all these sources. And compared to different types of data, such as financial data or HR data or sales data, which has their own unique challenges, scientific data especially is quite challenging. And there are several main reasons for this. Three of the biggest reasons are depicted in this slide. The first is that for scientific data, the context is extremely crucial. So even if it's the same temperature or the same yield or the same results from an experiment, all of the different contexts on how it was done, what kind of conditions it was done through, what kind of materials were used, what kind of equipment was used, and so forth, is extremely impactful on how that data could be interpreted. So this kind of leads into the further discussion on why data integrity is very important for scientific data. But one of the big reasons that scientific data is challenging is because the context is very crucial. Another very important part that we can't ignore on why scientific data is so challenging is because a large amount of breadth and depth is required for the proper interpretation or utilization of scientific data. Especially when we go into research and development, we need to know if similar reports have been done in all the journals and all the patents and all the different published material all around the world. And that is the best way to understand and get value from that data. So a great amount of breadth and depth is required. And as scientific data gets more and more complex, a lot of technology support is also necessary. Of course, there is constant development in big data infrastructure to support the scientific data, but scientific data itself, in a lot of cases, needs very unique infrastructure to process the data, which makes it more challenging. And as CAS has been working with scientific data for over 110 years, we are very well equipped to help clients deal with scientific data. And that is one of the reasons that I've been working in the material informatics realm, helping different clients on several different projects. A very quick introduction on my team, the team that I work with within CIS, which is CIS Services. So some people might know CIS through the CIS registry number, which is indexing system for all of the chemicals that are reported all around the world. Some people might know CIS through our main products, which is STN for information professionals, also SciFinder for a lot of research professionals. But CIS also has a division called CIS Services. And within CIS Services, separate from products, we create customized services utilizing all the assets within CIS to support different types of information-related projects within the client. So just a very brief overview, a lot of the work that we've recently been doing have been focused on AI and machine learning project support. This has been a very big area in the last 4 to 5 years, as everybody knows. And CIS has been providing very unique value in really enhancing different types of AI and machine learning projects. We also provide advanced analytics. We have a whole team within CIS that just focuses on different types of analytics and data visualization. CIS also has a team of IP professionals that could help with different landscape analysis or white space analysis for clients that are interested in patenting. We also have different APIs to help with workflow integration. And another big area that CIS is engaged in clients for CIS services is knowledge management. And we not only go in as consultants to help different companies implement good data management practices, we also do training, whether it's virtual or in person. I will now go into some recent trends and developments in material informatics. And as you can see in the graphic in the bottom right corner, in a lot of material informatic projects, it could kind of be summed up in a very simplistic way to this graphic that we have here, where when we have some specific functional properties that a client wants, if we are making rubber, or if we are manufacturing a specific device, or we're creating some film that would be used as coating, there would be some functional properties that we've identified that we want to enhance or target because there is a need in the market. And the way that material informatics, a very large use case right now, is when we have these targeted functional properties, we would gather a lot of good information that is interpretable and use different types of predictive modeling so that the machine learning and AI techniques, when applied, could suggest and help the research. So instead of trying out different types of formulas and different conditions, different materials, and just doing trial and error and constantly doing measurements, AI or machine learning could actually suggest, why don't you try this condition or that condition according to the training set and the predictive models that was created through AI. And this has been integral in creating much better long-term platforms for not only property predictions, but to really fuel innovation so that we can target the market better. Yet using material informatics, especially in the perspective of competitive R&D, there is a lot of challenges. So one of the first big challenges is getting a good data pool so that it could be used as a training set. Of course, as everybody that works with machine learning or AI very well knows, the quality of the training set is extremely important and directly connected to the results or the quality of the results. And when we have a lot of different types of data within the company, even if we feel that we have a lot of data because we have a lot of labs, maybe we have an electronic lab notebook, maybe a lot of people keep good records, maybe a lot of people keep good spreadsheets and digital records, still, all the different labs and all the different researchers, in many cases, use different data structures, they use different formats, and all the different formats and data structures impact the ability to actually merge this content so that it could be used in AI or machine learning. Also, the accuracy of the content within the company, even if the volume is high, the accuracy is very hard to pinpoint. There's a lot of uncertainty. Some of the content might have high accuracy and some of it might be low. And judging the accuracy in a lot of cases is extremely difficult. Also, the policies around managing this data, especially if the data is coming from a lot of different sources, a lot of different labs, or a lot of different individual researchers, is not as clear. So it's very hard to wrangle it together to get value from the content. And as we're aggregating data, to get more value out of the AI platforms, we would need more data, and we would want to introduce or merge with external data. And merging internal data with external data is extremely hard and comes with its own host of different types of challenges, especially when there's uncertainty in the sources and also the authority and reliability of external content. The last big challenge that I'm pointing out in this slide is using the data in more long term. In a lot of cases, just by doing a lot of data cleanup and data wrangling, some companies might be able to do a good project once, but creating a platform that could be used to mid-long term turns out to be very challenging without good operational management and data governance implemented. So to address these challenges, we will now get into data integrity. So what is data integrity and why is it important? So on the nice graphic on the right, you can see that data integrity has several different aspects to it, such as the truthfulness, the accuracy of data, how it's able to speak towards the completeness of the data, and how retrievable the data is, and also very importantly, how verifiable the data is. So if we think back to the example of different researchers all having different types of content and just putting them all together, you could see that it will not really fit almost any of these aspects. And having good management tools and good operational practices around these aspects is what data integrity means. The accuracy and consistency of the data is very important to have high quality data integrity. And to do this, we would need a standardized policy on how the data is curated and how the data is managed. For the data integrity to be high quality, all the characteristics of the data must be correct, and there should be repeatable processes on how it could be verified. And when we say all characteristics, it's on the business rules, the relationships between the different data entities, the dates, the definitions of what each data field means, and also the lineage, meaning where the data came from. Now to go to the next step and go into if we have good data integrity, if we have high quality data integrity, I will now go into how this actually contributes to material informatics. So when we think of good data integrity, we will have good data management policies. We will have data models explaining all the different components and the definitions of the data. And we will have a data dictionary explaining into further detail of the different fields and the different aspects or the different terms that are used in this data. And all the data would have very clear data lineage, meaning you would know exactly when and where the data came from and how it was processed to end up in the data platform that you're looking at. And the pitfalls, so if you do not have good data integrity, and if you have poor data quality, of course, a lot of obvious challenges would arise, such as you would have to consistently put in a lot of investment and effort in cleaning up the data, which sometimes could greatly slow down or even fully halt a data project. Also, a lot of very valuable data from different sources may have to be thrown away, and you will not be able to use it just because of the uncertainty. Also, for a lot of companies that are really getting good value and really leading this realm of using AI for their research, are using external data or merging databases so they have a much more robust training set, but this will not be possible if you do not have good data integrity. Also, kind of all of this put together, as your project progresses, it will not go into the direction in establishing a good platform for long-term use. Instead, you would consistently accumulate more technical debt. So for material informatics specifically, there's a lot of challenges when you try to implement material data integrity and material informatics. And we will go back to one of the first couple slides where we talked about additional challenges that scientific information has. So for material informatics, it's heavily scientific information. So the complexity of it, how to normalize it and how to standardize it becomes big challenges. And because when we're talking about innovation and we're talking about very competitive areas, the more competitive an area is, the less data there is around it, the more specific and the more detailed training set you need, the harder it is to obtain that training set. And also, the more detailed and more specific a type of data is, usually it's very hard to find some sort of universally accepted standards. And if you don't have universally accepted standards, this becomes a very big challenge because you would either have to create something or you would have to kind of modify some other universally accepted standards. But either way, you would have to manage those standards in-house and have good policies so that the efficiency is not impacted by this practice. Also, as the challenges, further challenges are listed here, some of them that we've lightly covered in the past slides. A lot of data is independently collected, and for the depth of content, especially when they're independently collected, there's a lot of judgment calls that were made, and especially when you have data coming in from different areas of research, from different labs, from different researchers, also in different scientific areas, the different perspectives and the different cultures, even in labs right next to each other, would influence how the data points are curated that would negatively impact the data integrity. So this slide kind of shows the very high-level goal that we have in implementing data integrity. What a lot of clients have for a lot of volume is what's on the most left, which is data. A lot of clients have a lot of data, but what they want is not data. What they want is what's on the most right, which is actionable insights. We don't want just a large volume of data. We want the data to eventually tell us, here are some insights. This is what we suggest we should do. We want actionable insights. So to get from data to actionable insights is not just one step. You can't just look at the data and figure out, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. You would need a good data governance practice to evolve the data into information. And just with the information, it doesn't immediately become actionable. With this information, through a lot of indexing and linking of the different data, it would evolve into knowledge. And then when we have different search and analytics tools to utilize this knowledge, we can finally get the insight. And from that insight, we could glean out the insight that is actionable. So the importance of data integrity is really critical in the early stages of a project. And in a lot of cases that we've seen in clients that we've worked with in the past, a lot of clients or a lot of projects don't tend to focus too much on data integrity at the beginning. And this comes to pretty negative circumstances later on. Because if data integrity is not focused, especially in the early stages, you may be able to pull off one good result or some very quick win, but there will be a lot of rework and throwaway work and tech debt as the project moves forward. This is very important because in a lot of clients that we work with, their data science team or their AI team is pretty new. So sometimes they have this desire to have some quick wins and show some results, and they feel that data integrity is not the highest priority. But since they are new, they really need to establish a good process and a good operational management implementation so that they can really look at success in the long term. So before jumping in too quickly into the analysis and predictions, putting in some more investment into the data formats, the data management, different tools to use in these areas, and data policies should be thought through. So to kind of conclude my presentation, very quick use case that I want to introduce here. So this is a project that we ran with a large chemical materials company, and very similar to the different examples that I was using in this presentation. They had a lot of data. They had a lot of content from different departments, from compliance, from production, from research, and so forth. And there was a lot of different chemical information that was being used and swapped around, but there was always a very large question on the accuracy of the data and the utility of the data. So they were not really getting the value that they hoped to get, and they did not feel that they were set to extract more and more value in the future. So if you see the schematic here, they had a lot of chemical names, but there were a lot of different synonyms in the chemical names because a lot of chemicals has more than one name. They were using different identifiers. There were also different types of structures, and a lot of the regulatory information were not matching clearly and in a valuable way to these different data entities that were used by all these different departments. So CIS not only helped with consulting and best practices and how to implement good data governance and data management practices, we also helped with identifying and deduplicating and cleaning up all the content that they have so that their content is very clear and there's no duplicates and all identifiable, and they will have a master index. And we also help them implement a knowledge management system so that moving forward, they could utilize this data in the way that they need. And we also merged it with additional data from CIS that was curated by CIS's scientists so that their database could be augmented to even provide more value. So that is a quick overview on material informatics and data integrity. I hope this presentation was helpful. And again, my name is Pillhun, Pillhun San, and you could reach me anytime at pson@cis.org. And I would look forward to any kind of questions or comments that you have. And again, feel free to reach out to me at any time. Thank you so much.